They tried to cage my spirit, bear me in chains. I feel the fire rising where my heart used to ache. Breaking through the ashes, watching through dawn of day. Shadows shout their warnings, but I keep moving on. Digging for my justice till the break of dawn. I rise up like a phoenix right at dawn's first light, tearing off my blinders, scorching through the night. No more chained by rumors or the poison lies. I'll find my freedom when the truth will rise. Forward ever, onward, never looking back again. Stamping out the darkness, feel the roaring wind.
Echoes of the doubters trying to slow my pace. Thunder in my footsteps, feel the wind I chase. Chains can't hold my spirit, justice is my crown. I'm riding into sunrise, claiming every town.
No fear in my reflection, shedding every guise. In the roar of freedom's chorus, hear my battle cry. I rise up like a phoenix riding north's first light, tearing off my blindness, scorching through the night. No more chained by rumors or the poison lies. I find my freedom where the truth will rise. Forward ever, onward, never looking back again. Stamping out the darkness, feel the roaring wind.
Brian has been essentially convicted in the media. He has a right to have this information withheld, brought out in public, so that people can see it's not this neat little package. So people can start to wonder if Brian's innocent. Your Honor, Brian is innocent. So if I talk about things that are in the affidavit, and if I talk about things that we're seeking that the state wants to hide, I think that's fair game for the public to hear.
Good morning, every single one of you. Whoop, whoop. I'm glad you made it to this 11 o'clock special of Talk Phoenix Talks. This talk. If I could talk today, whoop, whoop. We're on a roll. So I did say yesterday I would be going special live at 11 today because I do have an appointment this afternoon. But I have got some holy sheet Phoenix fireballs. Okay, and the only reason I went down this rabbit hole was for two reasons. Someone sent me a video the other day and I was like, what? It's kind of ballsy to call a judge out to be a liar, number one. But the second part is, if you don't know the rules of law in Idaho, you're going to look pretty stupid calling a judge a liar. So, without further ado, I hope everybody gets in here. If you are on replay because of the mix-up, I put 11 p.m. instead of 11 a.m. I know a lot of you kind of have an idea what I'm going to talk about. But if you don't, jump on in here. We're talking about the Idaho 4. Get everyone you possibly can in this nest and let's get to it. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for jumping in here. I know it's going to look like a lot of people don't even know that I'm live. It's okay. I'm sneaking under the radar today. Okay. So you could tell your little trolls, stay away. Good morning, Lulu Bell, Critic Rick. This is going to be a small, intimate session with just a few of us in here. And I'm good with that. Are you Are you gooseball? I was going to say goofball. Are you guys good with that? I am good with that. True to it. Welcome in. No talkie before coffee. What a nice surprise. Live in the country intros. Giddy up. Good. Wait till you hear the next one. So, don't worry, Caleb. People are coming in. Make sure you hit that like button when you come in. It's okay if there are only 30 people in here. I'm okay with that. All it takes is one person to hear this, one or two of the right people that need to hear this. That's all. That's all. Okay. I'm not asking for a lot here. But I will say, I did make some sourdough yesterday. I am going to partake in some of the festivities going on for tomorrow. I will pass out candy, obviously. And there's my legal disclaimer, real quick. If you want to donate, that's where you can donate to. You can go to our Justice for All website also. But I have got a lot for you today. And I have got a lot for you to listen to. We're going to talk about the busted courtroom showdown that's coming and the Rule 11. Okay, you got to understand what Rule 11. I'm going to go in deep and in debt, really far down the rabbit hole on this one. So, can a judge lie? Yes, they can lie. Okay, they can lie. They have immunity. It's called immunity. And I'm okay with the judge lying if need be. When I say that, they have to have a really good reason to lie. Remember, Judge Hippler, when he was up there during the plea deal and the sentencing and any other court during that time frame, you have to ask yourself two things if it applies. Was Judge Hippler under oath? Was Judge Hippler under oath? Can anybody say yes or no? No, he was not under oath. He wasn't a witness. He wasn't testifying. He was not under oath. Can he lie? Absolutely. He has immunity. And the Idaho Criminal Rules of Procedure, what is a Rule 11? It governs how plea deals such as guilty, not guilty, or nolo contendere are taken, right? Basically, the key elements is the defendant has the right to plead guilty or not guilty. This immunity, it happens for law enforcement too. Yes, it does. So the defendant, the court must enter a not guilty plea if the defendant refuses to plead. Now remember, Koberger never spoke. He never spoke. So what happens? The judge enters not guilty plea. Now remember, even before accepting a guilty plea or this wonderful deal that the prosecution and the defense worked out, the state must ensure that the plea is voluntarily, that the defendant understands the nature of the charge, basically maximum and minimum and maximum punishments. Okay? So, yeah, what the hell is a judge able to lie for? Well, remember, this judge was not under oath, guys. The judge was not under oath. And when you are not under oath, you are not sworn in and you are not sworn to tell the truth. The judge has discretion. He has the overruling power. So let's watch a clip real quick because a lot of people are like, he didn't say that. Yes, he did. He did. And I want you to listen to exactly what Judge Hippler says during this brief. I'm going to show you just a brief of what happened during the plea court dealing. This was the plea. All right, let's watch it together. It's only a few seconds.
Of those counts to run consecutive to one another. Defendant, as part of the plea agreement, waives his right to appeal, as well as his right to appeal the sentence and his right to seek leniency or reconsideration of the sentence under Idaho Criminal Rule 35.
He has the right to seek leniency. These were the terms. Now, you heard him say what the plea agreement between the prosecution, the state of Idaho, and the defense, the defendant, Brian Koberger, said. Now, listen to the next thing he says.
This is not a Rule 11 agreement, meaning the court is not bound by the plea agreement. and could impose a different lawful sentence at sentencing.
Now, everyone just heard him say this is not a Rule 11 agreement. And I know a lot of you are shaking your head saying, what? What did the judge say? Why did he just say that that is not a Rule 11 agreement? And I'm going to explain to you why. If you look at the actual plea agreement, at the actual documents, which I'm about to pop up here for and show you, this is from the Latah County Prosecutor's Office. This says plea agreement. This was filed on 7/2/25. It hit the repository. Okay. And it says the state of Idaho, by and through the Latah County Prosecutor's Office, the defendant, Brian C. Koberger, and the defendant's attorney, Ann Taylor, stipulate to the following plea agreement. And here is the plea agreement that he said that he was going to take ownership of. Now, did he do it? I don't know. Guys, I have always laid on the fact that he's factually innocent. There is no proof. The FBI says nope. The ISP says nope. The DNA says nope. The blood contact left at the scene of the crime says nope. Not Brian Koberger. Even the car I'm going to talk about in a little bit. I think the car says nope. Nope, nope, and nope, and nope. So let's look at this. He says he's going to enter a guilty plea to 4 counts of murder and 1 count of burglary. The defendant will be sentenced to a fixed 10 years for count 1 and then receive consecutive life sentences for count 2 to 5. 4 and then, 5. And then the state may seek restitution orders regarding funeral expenses and crime victims' compensation reimbursement in an amount to be determined. So the hearing that's coming up, because I put up here courtroom showdown, right? We're going to talk about the Rule 11, then we're going to get into that. But let me just clarify this. The defendant signed this and he understood the nature of all the charges, all the penalties, and he signed it with his name that he agreed. Now, I don't know why. I can only predict or speculate it was to avoid the death penalty. So here are your options. You get arrested, you're charged with something you factually didn't do, and they have you up against a wall. They're not dropping the charges. This has become a national media frenzy. And then what happens? You have to choose one or the other. What do you choose to save your own behind, arse? Whatever you want to say. What do you personally choose to save yourself? Sit in death row and wait for your execution? Or say, okay, I'm going to choose life and ask for post-conviction relief. Because didn't Hitler just say you can ask for post-conviction relief? He just said that. Let's listen again. Where'd it go? Here we go.
I want to make people aware that during the hearing, if you are to leave the courtroom for any reason, you will not be readmitted during the hearing. Also, when we...
And just a real quick shout out, Devil's Advocate is sitting right here in between. If you look right past Josh Hurwitz to the right just a little bit, he is right here with his glasses on, sitting right here in the black shirt. So shout out.
We finished the hearing this morning. I ask that the public and media wait in their seats until the victims' families and the defendants' families and others are escorted out of the courtroom before you start to leave. Finally, I want to acknowledge the trial court administrator and her staff, the Ada County Sheriff, and the Ada County 4th District Marshal's Service for the huge lift that they've accomplished in preparing for and orchestrating this hearing today, as well as to all the security attendant today that you see, and some of whom many of whom you don't see, with less than 48 hours notice. And so I appreciate the hard work that they've been doing.
So 48 hours notice is shocking. And I know there's other creators talking about this, but here's the difference. I'm going to give you a freaking Phoenix fireball that you won't forget today, folks. This is super huge and important. This judge can lie. They have immunity. And this judge was not under oath. But the reason he basically said this is not a Rule 11, that is his courtroom. A Rule 11 plea is binding if accepted. A judge can't sentence term once accepted. He can't change the terms. If rejected, it would have been withdrawn as the plea and they would have went forward with court. But by the judge saying this is not a Rule 11 plea, the court is declaring that the plea is not binding. It's a non-11 rule. And obviously, it's called a non-binding plea or an open plea. And in a nutshell, this basically means, and it says, period. Hey, y'all, this is my courtroom. I hold the power. And when I say it's not a Rule 11, even when the lawyers say it is, and whatever you've written down, when the judge says it's not a Rule 11 plea, they're refusing to be locked in. And he's basically saying this court will decide what justice looks like. That's basically what he's saying. And that is huge because the judge holds all the power. He could have said, nope, I'm giving you more than what you all agreed on. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think a judge should ever reject a deal if both sides agree on the punishment? Do you? Who holds the power? The power is held by the judge. Make sure you understand that. He can always file a post-conviction relief saying, hey, state of Idaho, I'm telling on you, I'm going to let the federal government know that you're holding me against my own will, that what you did to me is wrong, and I have all the proof and evidence to show you factually I am not guilty, and you need to give me some relief. And this is where the waters get muddy, because if there's a showdown in court coming, it is going to be absolutely wild, because don't tell me for 1 second Koberger's not going to file some lawsuits against the state of Idaho. The governor can intervene. The attorney general could have intervened. The president could have intervened. The DOJ could have intervened at any time. Pam Bondi could have said, hey, this is wild what's going down in OK Corral. The showdown needs to end. And here is the difference. I'm going to show you a clip. And I want you to tell me what you hear very, very closely. Listen to this clip. You guys, I was blown away when I re-listened to this. And the only reason I went down this rabbit hole is because I was curious to know what happened at 1122 King Road. Get ready. Here we go.
All right, does the defense have evidence to present today?
No evidence.
All right. Does defense wish to make argument today?
Runner, you do not wish to make argument.
This was at the sentencing hearing. This was not the plea deal. Listen to what Hippler says.
Mr. Koberger, along with his legal team, is prepared for the court to enter judgment.
All right, Mr. Koberger, you have an opportunity to make a statement if you wish to. I take it you are declining.
I respectfully decline.
Well, please. All right, let me start this morning by
All right. I gotta do it, y'all. I have to.
Feel the heat, truth ignites us from inside. Hear the roar, we'll never run, we'll never hide. Phoenix drop fireballs of truth, flames that scorch the darkest roof. Watch deception burn away, feel the dawn of honest day. Rise again with wings of flame, we will never be the same. Phoenix fireballs of truth, we rise, we rise.
Whoop!
Acknowledging and thanking those that have come here today in support of their loved ones, and I appreciate your courage and your strength. And I hope that you are able to move on as best as possible. Thank counsel for the professionalism that they've exhibited throughout this case. It has been my great honor to preside in this case and to help bring, to the extent possible, some resolution and hopefully justice to this case. During the quiet morning hours of November 13, 2022, a faceless coward breached the tranquility of 6 beautiful young people and senselessly slaughtered them, 4 of them. Who committed this unspeakable evil was unknown for several weeks, but due to the killer's incompetence and outstanding police work by numerous local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies, the person that slithered through that sliding glass door at 1122 King Road now stands before the world and this court unmasked.
Now, I want you to listen to one thing very clearly. I know you guys heard him say 6 and unalived 4 of them. So I just want to be very clear. He said all 6 of them. Now, he was talking about all the roommates. And he was alleging that Koberger is taking this plea deal and being sentenced this day. But he said clearly, entered to harm all 6. And we all know by now, with all the evidence and all the information that is out there for the public to hear, that there were probably more individuals involved. Unknown male DNA that's still not found. Koberger's DNA not in the crime scene, in his car, in his apartment, in his office. Nothing that shows that he was ever present or there. But I want you to hear something that was recorded on January 6, 2023, in an interview with Kaylee's father.
Shannon Gray. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning. Steve, were you there? Were you there in the courtroom?
I sure was. We expect to have somebody there every day.
What did you think when you saw the suspect, the man that might have killed or is allegedly killed your daughter?
Yeah, when I seen the defendant, I seen somebody that looked like he was overwhelmed and had no idea what was going on. He didn't look as confident as I thought he was going to be based off of his background.
How'd you feel, though?
Oh, my feelings were, I was angry. I'll be honest, I was angry, and I wanted to do, my mind was filled with different things, but I kept my cool and my composure, and there's a right way to do things, and that's what I was thinking about.
Steve, I can't imagine.
Exactly, D. Smalls. What background is Steve talking about? I immediately heard this case. I started to do a background on December 30th, 2022, and I found no background on Brian Koberger, which was very shocking to me. Extremely shocking. So when you think about all the scary stuff that we've seen in this case, especially around this Halloween season, well, a lot of people are dressing up for Halloween and the festivities around this. Something is very interesting about what Steve says next. What background did Steve have on Kohberger?
Imagine. Also want to get your reaction to this affidavit, which revealed a lot of information we didn't previously know. What of the revelation, what were new to you? What details stick out to you?
The actual location of the sleeve, the knife sleeve, that we had heard that there was a sleeve, but we didn't know the location. We heard there was a DNA, but there wasn't a hit in the database. So knowing that they had put all those things together in the timeline that they wrote from like the beginning to the last page was very precise, and it painted a picture of, weeks and weeks of investigation and following, and each line gave me a little bit more confidence.
According to the investigation and according to the MPD files, I'm a little leery about that statement now that we're looking forward into the future, because I don't know if this family is even reading or looking at how this case was investigated, because this is the actual information and the background on this case that we all see and we are all looking at. This was Moscow's investigation, not the ISP. The ISP came in to help. And these were the people that the local police department said, these individuals are involved. There were some that were mentioned that are not suspects. There was many suspects in this investigation. Many suspects. And I'll talk next about the next one, but let's finish listening to what Steve has to say.
We were in a very good position.
Steve, there's so many questions. As great and as informative as that affidavit was, there's still a lot of questions out there. Just curious, did they keep the families involved? And if so, how? Did they say, we're very confident we have a suspect, we think we're getting closer? Did they let you see this timeline before they actually even made the arrest?
No, we filled in parts of the timelines through the time. It was a co-work, but those guys did by far the vast majority of the work. We kind of inserted ourselves, and we said we need to be communicated. We wanted to have meetings. We wanted to be helpful. We had this audience. We had people that were willing to listen and willing to help and provide information that may have been missing. We had this white car to look for. So yeah, they helped, and we worked together. But I didn't have the details like that, and I told them not to give me any details that could accidentally mess up the case.
So let's do this for 1 second. Well, Steve is running his mouth at this interview on January 6th. Let's look at this white car. You all know that only available at not available is absolutely amazing on the TikTok streets. So this video that was just found and available and released 13 days ago, they have made a fabulous video. Now it has the sound in the background. I'm going to try to leave it unmuted. And let's watch this white car.
The state claims that this is Brian Kohberger's car, captured on a surveillance camera of the Pullman Chevron Sunset Mart. Let's take a look there. Here we are, Chevron and Sunset Mart. And Brian Kohberger's car is coming from this side. Here the official release footage, slow down and still shot. Let's zoom in and compare. This is Brian Kohberger's car from the side view, and this is Brian Kohberger's car from the front view, captured by MPD. Do you see a difference to this car? The black bar in the middle, above the logo. Here again from the front side, official release picture. And here on the surveillance camera it is missing. Better visible with colors. Blue dots are the bottom black line, yellow dots are the white areas above, the fire dots are the silver line with the logo in the middle, and the pink dot, the black bar, is missing in the car of the surveillance footage. Here the state's motion in limine and their surveillance footage FOIA requested by this guy.
So there is their video. We know that that car is not Brian Koberger's. He did another video before this video, and this guy or whoever this individual is, shout out to Only Available at Not Available. They have a great eye for detail. And one of the things that made me really question this is he put out another video, and I'm going to show you that video real quick because we're talking about this white car, and we're going to talk about this for a minute. Let's watch this one. Where'd it go? Here we go.
Two reasons why this car is not Brian Koberger's car. This car has clearly visible a sunroof. The same dark color like the windows of this and all the other cars. Compare on your own. Sunroof, no sunroof on Brian Koberger's car. Straight line, no straight line. If you see this with your own eyes, how comes you don't start to question the official narrative? Reason 2, the route he should have taken. Coming from the left, visible on Ridge Road 1125, 3 minutes later is impossible. The car drove to Taylor Avenue, visible on the porch cam, then turns left onto Valenta Drive, also visible on the porch cam, drive through the neighborhood and then into Ridge Road, passing by the camera, but from right to left, not from left to right. So from here to there, not from there to there. To understand this better, Ridge Road camera, this street on the map is this street on the camera, this street on the map is that street on the cam. We could double check this with the dumpster cam. What a coincidence, of course not.
So we all can agree that's not his car. He's got one more video.
This is Brian Koberger's car. This is the car captured on Sunset Mart. And here you got the sunroof. This here is the sunroof. Okay? This color has the same color than the window. Brian Koberger's car has not a sunroof, and also this black bar here is missing. Here is the logo, like here, and this here is the black bar, which is missing. And this here on top is the sunroof, which is missing on Brian Koberger's car. This is the surveillance footage FOIA requested by Connor. I mentioned him in my last clip. This is the state's motion in limine, where they are saying that Brian Koberger's car is visible on the Sunset Mart surveillance footage during the night of November the 13th. Tell me what you think about it, but I believe this is not Brian Koberger's car.
Totally not Brian Koberger's car. Now that this hive, this nesting hive here, believes that is not Brian Koberger's car, whose car do you guys think this possibly could be? I'm going to ask you in the chat. Drop it below. Whose car do you possibly think this could be based on what you know, based on the pictures you've seen? Take an educated guess for yourself, or just a random guess, and see whose car do you possibly think it could be? Has anybody seen any videos out there that possibly would say that what kind of car this would be? Any guesses? All right, we've got some coming in. Barry, Undercover, Steve Chapins, Rosie's, Hunter. I don't know what Hunter drove. Make sure you let Jeff H know. Emma. Don't know what Emma drives. It's BK. He has his phone off. Guilty. I'll tell you, critic Rick, get out of here. I'm just kidding. Whoop, whoop. We found out. Oh my gosh. Okay. JD or be Undercover Police. Good guesses. I bet that's Barry. What if I told you it could have been somebody else? Remember this picture that Kaylee had posted with Dylan and someone else in the back seat of a specific driver? Does anybody remember this? Now, I don't know whose vehicle this is, but when I asked ChatGPT, yes, I did. I rely on AI some of the time. I asked, and I just cropped it right there, and I asked, what back of a car has these lines, what's the make and model? And this is exactly what it told me. That the rear window shown in the image is a split rear window, which is a distinctive feature of the Toyota Prius hatchback, particularly the models produced between 2010 and 2015. Specific reference. It was random. Random. It isn't wrong. I checked 3 other AIs just to see if it was accurate. And lo and behold, the state's evidence showed us one tiny picture of hope. Why in the world would they take a picture of Eric Gower's car from the front driver's side, the driver's side, the passenger side, the front passenger side, and the rear? Why would they have this in state's evidence and text messages and other things? Why in the world would they need this in evidence? I don't know. Maybe they were just collecting things that night. Who knows? I'm just saying, what we get is what we get. And it was sitting here, and I thought, that's just a little odd. That's a little suspicious. Very suspicious. When this is the guy that was passing out airplane bottles of alcohol to these girls and driving them around off duty. Off duty. But let's listen to what Steve has to say. Let's listen to the rest of his interview.
Did you know for the first time, like we did, that one of the roommates came face to face with him and described him with bushy eyebrows, with a thin build but an athletic build, the way we now know that was written? Did you know that?
I had heard that somebody had seen somebody in a mask. I didn't know if it was something that was like yelled out, and one of the people that was downstairs heard that. I did not know it was one of the people downstairs that actually eyewitnessed this person. And to me, it was just a call. So I wasn't positive that it wasn't just a rumor. So we never mentioned it. The details in the affidavit are kind of shocking. But I'm sure we'll get the more details as time goes on. But yeah, it reads very bizarre.
Shannon, if he is convicted, do you expect the death penalty?
Well, I think Steve and the family have talked about it, and I think it's something that the decision that will be made by all the families on whether or not the death penalty is something that the state pursues on this case. So I don't think it's just a decision for the Gonzalez family. I think it's a decision for all the victims' families, and then, they'll see where it goes from there.
Shannon, you had a chance to look at this affidavit as well. How airtight is the case as you look at it right now?
Well, I thought the affidavit was a lot of information was in the affidavit, and it sounds like it's a solid case. I was a former prosecutor myself, now a criminal defense attorney. I look at it in both ways. As a prosecution, it looks like it has a really great timeline. There's DNA evidence. There's the evidence from the cell phones and the automobile, and that he was aware of the location coming back and forth. So there's a lot of good information there. And then when I flip over to the defense side, I still have a hard time understanding how they're going to get past the DNA evidence on the sheath. A lot of
How they're going to get past it? What?
times in cases that I've defended, sometimes you go in and you sit down and you talk with the defendant and say, hey, this is a great piece of evidence. How do we get past this piece of evidence? And so I think that's one of the most convincing pieces of the affidavit is the DNA evidence. So
sometimes, Steve, you have gut feelings. Did you think when you looked at this guy in the jumpsuit, you were looking at your daughter's killer?
Yeah, I did. I did a research before I came into that courtroom. I was looking for a certain look. I wanted him to meet me eye to eye. he had done that exact same behavior previously when he was in Pennsylvania, and he chose not to, or he was afraid to look back. And for me, that wasn't a good sign.
What about the fact that he smiled?
I didn't see it. I heard about that later. I don't know. It's hard to comment on that.
You know, Steve, we're all parents, and for every parent watching, when you give birth, you hold that baby and you have all these dreams for them, and you go through the hard years, the years of them always being with you and needing your help to get the small things, the cereal, the milk, and all of that. And then you go through the hard teenage years, and then you look forward to their 20s when they're going to get married and they're going to bring grandchildren home, and you've gotten through all that, and you've raised these amazing kids. He robbed that from you and your wife. What goes through your mind when you think about that? Do you think about that when you see him, or do you just want to jump over and do what most dads would want to do and take him out or take him down and, you know, beat him up or whatever it is?
I mean, the physical side is there, but I know that's not realistic. So what I go with is I can make this man feel like he picked the very worst family to do that to. And every time he turns on the TV, he sees us. And every time he thinks something positive is happening in his case, he sees one of us communicating and he realizes he has zero hope. That's what I hope. And that's what I can do. I don't want to worry and think about things that I'm still going to, but those aren't realistic things for me to just put my time and energy into. I might as well stay focused on what I can do. And I want this guy to be sick of seeing me, sick of hearing the cases. New evidence keeps coming in from audience members, just like what you guys have on today. And I want this case to get stronger and stronger to the point where he realizes that he's not going to be on the planet that long.
I want this case to get stronger and stronger.
Steve, you've been an amazing advocate for your daughter, and the courage it takes to be in that courtroom and see him is immense. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, as well as Shannon Gray, the attorney. Good luck as things move forward to Jane.
Now, what do you all think about that Phoenix fireball? Did you connect the dots? I know I always don't tell you exactly what I want you to know, hear, and see. I leave it up to you to decide. I've always said, I will just show you what I find. You can make your own decisions. What do you all think about this Phoenix fireball today? What do you think of this? Surprise, surprise, surprise. How convenient that this interview took place
Yeah, Steve, we're so sorry for what you're
on
going
the 6th of January, 2023. And in January 2025, this takes place. The Honorable Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War. He was sworn in on January 25th, 2025 as the 29th Secretary of Defense before the department's name was changed on the 5th of 2025. You can't make this stuff up, folks. Busted. So busted. Do you think there's really going to be a court showroom showdown next? What are they hiding behind the scenes that they want us to be so distracted? What? I cannot believe what I am looking at today. Can you? Can you believe this? I was in utter shock when I put the pieces together. Everything they've been telling us is planned and pre-planned. And now this. Secretary of War, I'm sure he had something to do with it, in Idaho. Put Idaho on the map. I feel like some days I'm starting to sound like Candace. And that's pretty sad. Nobody else had seen this all these years. I feel like I should play the Purge music, that song in the background. Nothing surprises me, says Grammy T in Idaho. Oh, when I said I think we've been hoodwinked, I meant I think we've been hoodwinked. Not only that, Josh Hurwitz, every step of the way, something about this narrative didn't sit right with me. Yeah, busted can of biscuits. Making potatoes and hellos. The Holly Berry. What in the Holly Berry? One more thing, real quick. If you thought this was odd, the Gower car, alleged, obviously all alleged, right? This guy is kind of athletic build. I don't know if you've seen him without his hat on, but this is like a little kudos post on Facebook. Okay. And this is, what year did you graduate? In 2017. And a PhD in education in 2024. What's your minor? What is that? Cognate in event planning and management. What's your favorite course? Rec 310. A 3-day backpacking trip with Eric Lovis. Having an immersive experience and curriculum was perfect for my learning style. So, he likes to hide. This doesn't make somebody guilty. I'm just doing what they did. They planted a narrative. I'm just sharing what I found. All speculation, of course. And this guy was a residential mentor. He was responsible for mentoring high school students on a wide range of topics in the Upbound summer program. It includes various locations, including DC and New York. I was responsible for programming and program evening activities in the 6-week program. Planning activities. Does outreach with the local Indian tribes. He's been going on 7 years at this company. Loves to travel, explore new places, loves his job. Never once mentions his wife and child, and this was in 2021. Obviously, maybe there was nothing there yet, but that's a little bit more on him. And one thing I thought was really super odd, I'll put it up here. Remember the tip from MPD on March 6, 2024? I conducted and followed up on a tip from the FBI. The tip stated a male, RV, had posted in a hiking group on Facebook that he found a K-bar knife with a sheath while hiking in Cascade Mountains. Investigation into this area of the country did not yield a link to any known travel path of Koberger for the timeline in question. But you just heard Steve, they filled in the gaps with the timeline. In addition, the knife was found with a sheath. I attempted to contact V using the numbers provided by the FBI tip as well as TLO. None of the numbers were viable, and I was unable to contact V. This tip is closed as of this report. Very interesting, folks. Very interesting. What are your thoughts about this? What are your thoughts about learning about this today?
Family, thank you for speaking out.
Thank you for your press.
And this. And this. But most of all, this. Rule 11. Did we just watch a whole 3-year-long movie? That is the longest movie I have ever watched in my entire life. Wicca Wicked Blank Shady, this is so I agree. I agree. If this doesn't say hoodwinked, wow. Now, I want to do a poll real quick. Do you believe, in your humble opinion, do you believe that these two families requesting restitution, additional, by the way, and I know I didn't go into a lot of detail yesterday on this on my video. Do you think these two families should actually get the restitution they are asking for? Because just like I explained how Rule 11 works, let me talk a little bit about restitution and what did this mean. So, the Latah County Prosecutor's Office basically says the plea agreement allows them to ask for restitution, which I showed you this morning. And they basically are saying the bottom line is donations don't cancel what the defendant owes. And they're even saying if Kohberger can't pay now, he might pay in the future. And the victims should be first in line for that money. And they're officially updating or amending their restitution request, which were already agreed to include these costs. So basically, they're objecting to possibly, keep in mind, they may have made a mistake and didn't tell the families, by the way, this won't pay for expenses to get to court. This isn't going to pay for your fuel. This isn't going to pay for what you're asking for, because that's basically what they're doing. I think, in my humble opinion, the state didn't tell them what it would cover or not cover. And now they're trying to figure out how to appease these families and get it from Brian Kohberger. And Ann has already said, no, we already agreed. We're not going back on that. We're not going back on that. We want this money. And they are willing to dip into federal funding because that's where that $5.1 billion is, in the restitution of funding. Now, they're upset that Kohbergers receive money from family and supporters in jail. Well, they weren't that upset with Jodi Arias, who rakes in millions of dollars and has assistants. Yes, people who open her mail, as in secretaries, assistants. Open her mail and more. I didn't hear anyone complaining when other people like Chris Watts was getting tons of money, tons of letters from women in jail. So why would it make any difference if an innocent, factually innocent man is receiving money from supporters in jail? They want to take that money. Do you know what? I think they may have found out how much Brian Kohberger has been getting. And they don't want him to have any money for anything, not even medications. What do you think about that? Do they have the right to overstep the boundaries and say, whoops, we want this back? We want to get this money however possible. And it's only two families, y'all. It's only two families. So what happened to the other families? What happened? I think this is a big cluster. And our justice system is being put to the test. So when I say a judge can lie, they have immunity. Can they lie under oath? Probably not a good idea. But Hitler was never sworn in to testify or speak anything on behalf in testimony. So before anyone says, oh, the judge lied, know the Idaho court system. And now I don't know everything, but I did live there. I lived there for quite some time. Believe me, You always want to make sure, because you know what? I'm guilty of telling a judge in court on record, do the right thing. And boy, that judge didn't like it when I said, Your Honor, I'm just asking you to do the right thing here. Please do the right thing. And I probably said it a little more times than he liked. And yes, the judge, because I said it too many times, held me in contempt of court. And I stood up and I said, Your Honor, where do I pay the fine? He was even more pissed because he said, you have to wait a few days and then you can come back and pay the $100 fine. Yes, Phoenix got feisty in court. I got a little feisty with the judge because I knew the judge wasn't going to do the right thing. He should have done the right thing. But at the end of the day, the judge has all the power to decide what he wants. And that's just the way it is. And yes, I paid the $100 fine as soon as I got the document because I didn't want anyone to say, oh, she didn't pay it, we're going to issue a bench arrest. No, I paid the $100 fine. I learned my lesson. Don't get spicy with a judge and asking them to do the right thing. So, now that I've showed you what I found, have we been hoodwinked? Have we been hoodwinked by these individuals to get Idaho on the map? For what? For a new place that's going to house some foreign airplanes? Did they sell us to the foreigners? I feel hoodwinked. How do you feel? Something a little spookish and ghoulish is definitely going on. Now, I want to give a shout out to my mods. I so appreciate them. I want to do something so amazing in these holidays because you know what? They give freely of their time. They don't have to be here. They're here because they want to. And I sure appreciate them. So let's show them some love on the way out. Thank you, every single one, for tuning in. I really appreciate you. The last thing I want to talk about today is something of such importance. Whether you're spending this holiday tomorrow sharing candy with kids or visiting an elderly community and donating some goodies for them for their little events, please be safe. Please be kind to one another. Yeah, we've probably seen this play out a few times in our lifetime, and now we're calling it like it is. Karen Reed, all these other ones, something's going on behind the scenes. And hopefully it is for our protection, because they did say that national security was involved. But I will say this, Veterans Day is coming up. Make sure that we always thank our veterans, every single one of them. And last thing, drop some hearts in the chat before you go. I appreciate every single one of you. Be well.
Dusty roads behind me, every trip my veins. They tried to cage my spirit, bear me in chains. I feel the fire rising where my heart used to ache. Breaking through the ashes, watching through dawn, I'm late. Shadows shout their warnings, but I keep moving on. Digging for my justice till the breaking dawn. Rise up like a phoenix, right
Thunder in my footsteps, feel the wind I chase. Chains can't hold my spirit, justice is my crown. I'm riding into sunrise, claiming every town.
No fear in my reflection, shedding every guise. In the roar of freedom's course, hear my battle cry. I rise up like a phoenix riding North's first light, tearing off my blindness, scorching through the night. No more chained by rumors or the poison lies. I find my freedom where the truth will rise. Forward ever, onward, never looking back again. Stamping out the darkness, feel the roar